خانه پر کن که باید سر کنم. من گلوی زین حدیث عاقبت سستر کنم. خنده مستانه ای زین تلخی ناب شراب، اشک دل فریاد مستانه به نامش برکنم. یاد بادا یاد بادا یاد بادا ساقیا آن روی همچو هورا، آن نگاه عقل در احمق مشهور را. خنده بی مثل او بر دل دکانی هم زده، پنهان کرده در دل و مغز و روانم تو را.
Begin. This is now. Now is. Don't postpone till then. Spread the spark of iron on stone. Sit at the head of the table. Dip your spoon in the bowl. Seat yourself next to your joy and have your awakened. And pour right and pour wine. Branches in the spring wind, easy dance of jasmine and cypress. Cloth for green robes has been cut from pure absence. You're the tailor, settled among his ship's goods, quietly sewing. And that is from Rumi, the Book of Love. I will post it online after the reading. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joanna Godwin-Seidl, for those who do not know. Hi, Joni. Hi, Tony, rather, excuse me. It's very lovely to greet you this evening for this reading of 1001 Nights. We are continuing the story that we were on, and we are now on the 479th night. Scheherazade said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that when the prophet was bidden by inspiration of Allah to busy himself with his devotions and learn the truth of the case, he cried, 'There is none other God but thou. Glory be to thee only. Verily, thou and thou alone wottest hidden things.' Furthermore, one of the poets hath made these verses on the matter. The prophet saw whatever eyes could see. And fain of other things enquired he. And when his eyes saw things misunderstood, quoth he, O Lord, this slain from sin was free. This one have won him wealth withouten work, albeit appeared he garbed in penury. And that in joy of life was slain, although, O man's creator free of sin he be. And God answered, 'Twas his father's good thou sawest, him take by heirship, not by roguery. Yon woodman to that horseman's sire had slain, whose son avenged him with just victory. Put off, O slave of me, this thought for I. In men have set mysterious secrecy. Bow to our law and humble there, and learn. For good and evil issues our decree. Excuse me 1 second. So I have a little light that when I forget to unplug it from the mains, it flashes the whole time, which causes headaches. A certain pious man hath told us the tale of the Ferryman of the Nile and the Hermit. I was once a ferryman on the Nile and used to ply between the eastern and the western banks. Now one day, as I sat in my boat, there came up to me an old man of bright and beaming countenance, who saluted me, and I returned his greeting. And he said to me, Wilt thou ferry me over for the love of Allah Almighty? I answered, Yes. He continued, Wilt thou moreover give me food for Allah's sake? To which I again answered, With all my heart. So he entered the boat, and I rowed him over to the eastern side, remarking that he was clad in a patched gown and carried a gourd bottle and a staff. When he was about to land, he said to me, I desire to lay on thee a heavy trust. Quoth I, Well, what is it? Quoth he, It hath been revealed to me that my end is near hand, and that tomorrow about noon thou wilt come and find me dead under yonder tree. Wash me and wrap me in the shroud thou wilt see under my head, and after thou hast prayed over me, bury me in this sandy ground, and take my gown and gourd and staff, which do thou deliver to one who shall come and demand them of thee. I marvelled at his words, and I slept there. On the morrow, I awaited till noon, the event he had announced, and then I forgot what he had said till near the hour of afternoon prayer, when I remembered it, and hastening it to the appointed place, found him under the tree, dead, with a new shroud under his head, exhaling a fragrance of musk. So I washed him, and shrouded him, and prayed over him, then dug a hole in the sand and buried him. After I had taken his ragged gown, and bottle, and staff, with which I crossed the Nile to the western side, and there nighted. As soon as morning dawned and the city gate opened, I sighted a young man known to me as a loose fellow, clad in fine clothes and his hands stained with henna, who said to me, Art thou not such an one? Yes, answered I. And he said, Give me the trust. Quoth I, What is that? Quoth he, the gown, the gird, and the staff. I asked him, who told thee of them? And he answered, I know nothing, save that I spent yesternight at the wedding of one of my friends, singing and carousing till daylight. When I lay me down to sleep and take my rest, and behold, there stood me a personage who said, Verily, Allah Almighty hath taken such a saint to himself, and hath appointed thee to fill his place. So go thou to a certain person, naming the Ferryman, and take of him the dead man's gown and bottle and staff, for he left them with him for thee. So I brought them out and gave them to him. Whereupon he doffed his clothes and, donning the gown, went his way and left me. And when the glooms closed around one, I fell a-weeping. But that night, while sleeping, I saw the Lord of the holiness, glorified and exalted be he, in a dream, saying, O my servant, excuse me, it's late in Vienna, everybody. O my servant, it is grievous to thee that I have granted to one of my servants to return to me. Indeed, this is of my bounty, that I vouchsafe to whom I will. For I, over all things, am almighty. So I repeated these couplets. Lover with love looseth will and aim. All choice, and couldst thou know, were sinful shame. Or grant his favour with union grace, or from thee turn away, he hath no blame. And from such turning thou no joy enjoy. Depart, the place for thee no place became. Or canst his near discern not from his far? Then lovers in vain, and thou art a rear and lame. If pine for thee afflict my sprite, all men hail me to death, the rein thy hand shall claim. My goodness. So turn thee to or fro to me this one. When thou ordainest, none shall dare defame. My love hath naught of aim, but thine a proof. And if thou say we part, I say the same. And of the tales they tell is one concerning the island king and the pious Israelite. There was once a notable of the children of Israel, a man of wealth who had a pious and blessed son. When his last hour drew nigh, his son sat down at his head and said to him, O my Lord, give me an injunction. Quoth the father, O dear son, I charge thee, swear not by Allah or truly or falsely. Then he died. And certain lewd fellows of the children of Israel heard of the charge he had laid on his son, and began coming to the latter and saying, Thy father had such and such moneys of mine, thou knowest it. So give me what was entrusted to him, or else make oath that there was no trust. The good son would not disobey his sire's injunction, so gave them all they claimed. And they ceased not to deal thus with him, till his wealth was spent, and he fell into straitest predicament. Now, the young man had a pious and blessed wife, who had borne him 2 little sons. So He said to her, "The folk have multiplied their demands on me, and, while I had the wherewithal to free myself of debt, I rendered it freely. But naught is now left of us, and if others make demands upon me, we shall be in absolute distress, I and thou. Our best way were to save ourselves by fleeing to some place where none knowest us, and earn our bread among the lower of the folk." Accordingly, he took ship with her and his 2 children, knowing not whither he should wend. But when Allah judgeth, there is none to reserve his judgment. And quoth the tongue of the case, "O flee from thine home when foes affright, whom led to weal and happiness and fight. Grudge not this exile when he flees abroad, where he on wealth and wealther may alight, and pearls for ever did abide in shell. The kingly crown they never had decked and dight." The ship was wrecked, yet the man saved himself on a plank, and his wife and children also saved themselves, but on other planks. The waves separated them, and the wife was cast in one country, and one of the boys in another. The second was picked up by a ship, and the surges threw the father on a desert island, where he landed and made the wuzu ablution. Then he called the prayer call, and Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Now, when it was the 480th night, she said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that when the man landed upon the island, he made the wuzu ablution to free himself from the impurities of the sea, and called the call to prayer, and stood up to his devotions, when behold, there came forth of the sea creatures of various kinds, and prayed with him. When he had finished, he went up to a tree and stayed his hunger with its fruits, after which he found a spring of water and drank thereof, and praised Allah, to whom be honour and glory. He abode thus 3 days, and whenever he stood up to pray, the sea creatures came out and prayed in the same manner as he prayed. Now, after a 3rd day, he heard a voice crying aloud and saying, "O thou just man and pious, who didst so honour thy father and revere the decrees of thy Lord, grieve not, for Allah, be he extolled and exalted, shall restore to thee all which left thy hand. In this isle are hoards and monies and things of price, which the Almighty willeth thou shalt inherit, and they are in such a part of the place. So, bring them to light, and verily, we shall send ships unto thee, and do thou bestow charity on the folk, and bid them to thee." So he sought out that place, and the Lord discovered to him the treasures in question. Then ships began resorting to him, and he gave abundant largesse to the crews, saying to them, "Be sure ye direct the folk unto me, and I will give them such and such a thing, and appoint to them this and that." Accordingly, there came folk from all parts and places, nor had 10 years passed over him ere the island was peopled, and the man became its king. No one came to him, but he entreated with munificence, and his name was noised abroad throughout the length and breadth of the earth. Now his elder son had fallen into the hands of a man who reared him and taught him polite accomplishments, and in like manner the younger was adopted by one who gave him a good education and brought him up in the ways of merchants. The wife also happened upon a trader who entrusted her with his property and made a covenant with her that he would not deal dishonestly by her, but would aid her to obey Allah, to whom belong majesty and might, and he used to make her the companion of his voyages and his travels. Now, the elder son heard the report of the king and resolved to visit him, without knowing what he was. So he went to him and was well received by the king, who made him his secretary. Presently, the other son heard of the king's piety and justice, and was also taken into his service as a steward. Then the brothers abode a while, neither knowing the other, till it chanced the merchant, in whose home was their mother, also hearing of the king's righteous and generous dealing with the lieges, freighted a ship with rich stuffs and other excellent produce of the land, and taking the woman with him, set sail for the island. He made it in due course, and landing presented himself with his gift before the king, who rejoiced therein with exceeding joy, and ordered him a splendid return present. Now, there were among the gifts certain aromatic roots, of which he would have the merchant acquaint him with the names and uses. So he said to him, "Abide with us this night." And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Folks, I am going to love you and leave you tonight. It's been an extremely long day work-wise. I have not stopped all day apart from 2 hours when I took a break today, but I was determined to read for you. So I hope you really enjoyed the reading. For those who listen in later, thank you very much for listening. You see, I can't even speak properly, and I'm lisping all over the place because I'm so tired and yawning too. So I think the best thing for all of us is I love you and leave you. Tonight, we're already so far on in the book, almost halfway through, and we are definitely going to have a party very soon, I hope, that won't be messed up by Facebook, so that we'll actually go online and you will actually be all the rain and the gods, as happened with, unfortunately, with our public viewing at the Kultursommer. And so hopefully we'll be able to do something for you guys then that'll be really good fun. Also something that we will have an audience with. So on that beautiful note, and without further ado, I wish you many, many blessings. Have a beautiful evening. Have a beautiful day if your day has just started. Have a beautiful night with pleasant and sweet dreams. Take very good care of yourself. Stay safe. God bless. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.